like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Sega Master System review, where today we've got one of the arcade's all-time classic racers, Outrun, which saw release in the arcades in September of 1986 before getting a Master System release over here in the PAL region in October of 1987. So the setup for Outrun is pretty simple. You jump in your Ferrari, you drive across the globe trying to reach one of the 5 endpoints before your time runs out, and for every checkpoint that you pass, your time will be extended. Like always, I'm going to be talking about how it looks visually, how it sounds, how it plays, its content and lifespan, whether it's still worth playing today, and where it will feature in our Sega Master System Top 10. So like always, I'm going to start with visuals first, and for 1987, Outrun was the very best looking racing game on the system, and it actually remained one of them for the entire duration of the Master System's life. Whilst it's nowhere near the quality of the arcade version, it's familiar and you can tell it's Outrun from the car to the way the tracks progress with the scenery and the way the backdrops change as you go through each checkpoint. It looks and it does feel like Outrun. Visually, in terms of performance, it's got a pretty decent pace to it as well. It feels like you're going at pretty fast speeds, which is important with this game. Obviously, the arcade version is a very quick game, and the Master System does a pretty decent job of bringing that home. The only negative really is the minor amount of sprite flicker that you do get when you've got multiple cars other than yourself on the track and you've got the scrolling scenery, but it's not game breaking and it doesn't slow the game down. So overall in the visual department, Outrun is a pretty good game for 1987. Moving on to the sound effects and music next, and if you watched my review of Sega Ages Volume 1 on the Saturn a few weeks back, you will know that I highlighted Outrun's soundtrack as its major strength, and it is exactly the same story here on the Master System because the PSG soundtrack for this game is very, very strong. I don't feel the FM one is quite as good in all fairness, and usually you'll find with Master System games that the FM soundtracks are actually better. With Outrun, it's the other way round. The PSG soundtrack and the PSG sound effects are superior in my opinion. So what I'll do is give you a few examples of both so you can have a listen and decide for yourselves. So moving on to the gameplay next, and it's a very simple game to play. Button 1 brakes, button 2 accelerates, up and down shift between low and high gears, and the idea of the game is simply to just race across the continent and get to one of the 5 end zones before the time runs out. In terms of difficulty, it is a bit of a challenge to start with in all fairness, and you will have to get used to it, and the idea of the game really is to memorize where all the hills and the dips are so that you take the corners better, and that really is where the challenge is. But overall in the gameplay department, Outrun for an 8-bit racing game plays very well. Now, moving on to content and lifespan next, and the game will only take about 7 or 8 minutes to play through. In all honesty, there are 15 different sections of track to explore with 5 different end zones. The game is fairly difficult in all fairness, so it will take a while for you to go down every single possible route and see all 5 different endings. Now, in terms of its lifespan, it really comes down to being a score attack game, and if you're going to write down your high scores and then when you play it next, try and beat it, because you can't save anything on this game. It doesn't store any information on the cartridge, so it is a case of pen and paper being your best friend, of course. If you've got a friend to play with, take it in turns, you will have a bit more lifespan there, but there really isn't a whole lot of content within Outrun. So like always, that leaves us with our 2 final questions. Is Outrun still worth playing today on the Master System, and where does it feature in our Master System top 10? Now, without a doubt, Outrun is still worth devoting 10 minutes of time to here and there, mainly because it's still got such a fantastic soundtrack, even on the Master System. Now, where does it feature in our Master System top 10? This wasn't a difficult decision to make, actually. It comes straight in at number 6, right in the middle of our list, because it's still a pretty solid game. It's definitely better than the games below it, like Streets of Rage 2 and Double Dragon, but it's not quite as good as all of those games above. But like always, these are my thoughts and my thoughts alone. Did anybody get this on the Master System on its release way back in 1987? It probably wasn't until about 91, 92 when I actually had it on my Master System, so I got it a few years after it had come out. Let me know your opinions on Outrun on the Master System down below, and like always, I'll be back in the near future with another review. Goodbye for now.